Hello.
Welcome to SketchUp Talk. This is our own personal DIY project. Matt and myself, and as that very weak lead-in suggested, we're going to be talking about DIY today.
That reminds me of the old proverb, DIY, DIY not, of course.
Probably because you don't have SketchUp. That's why you can DIY not do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we are doing it ourselves today, vocally.
That's right. We're going to talk about doing things, which is what we do best. So I am Aaron Dietzen. With me is Matt Robinson.
That is me.
And we're just going to dive right into this. This particular episode, we're going to talk about DIY. DIY ends up being a little bit different from the other topics we've had. In the past, we've looked at well-defined industries or processes. DIY is a little different because, like I said, it's not necessarily a well-defined thing. It's kind of a concept, or I've heard it referred to as a movement or a culture or a counterculture.
Oh, wow. As opposed to doing it other people.
Right.
Other people doing it for yourself or something like that.
Right. And I think the general idea of DIY is that there's a way to do it yourself. And that's not necessarily bought off the shelf, not paying somebody else to do it for you, but learning how to take care of a problem or making something you need and doing it yourself. And that's the general idea.
So you can do it for cheaper, or that you can do it, I guess you can have the skills, you learn stuff, you're more self-sufficient.
Yeah, and I think that's kind of the concept. Is nowadays we have a very consumable friendly culture we live in. You
like
can go
hands-off
buy just about anything. Yeah, you don't really have to, as opposed to, way back when, if you wanted a shovel, you had to go make a shovel. That was the thing at once.
Dig for a shovel.
That's right.
Right.
Dig till you hit the shovel level of, I'm pretty sure that's how geology works. Dig until you hit the tool you need.
That's right.
But our industry, or our entire world now, is very easy to go buy something or pay somebody to make something for you. It's not too hard to do. But there's always been this group of people who have this own DIY consciousness. And I went and looked this up, tried to find, where'd that term even come from? And it's
research is good. Data driven.
That's right. We'd like to spend minutes at least before we hop on the mic here.
Right.
But there's really not, it's not like a thing that just started. You can't say 1975, so-and-so termed DIY as being such and such. It's kind of something that's just always been there. There's always been, like, I was reading back to, digging up remains of ancient civilizations where everything was built a certain way. And then we had these buildings over here that were built differently and to a different standard. And the idea there is that was probably built by somebody who built it themselves rather than having the master come and do it for them.
Right. The doers, the
That's
makers,
right.
the builders.
Right. Would you consider yourself a DIYer? Or?
I did one thing today, which
All
was
right.
wore this shirt to blend in with the background.
That you did.
I tried to wear my camouflage.
DIY
I did that
camo.
myself. I buttoned my shirt myself. As far as building things, no. I'm
Not so
hands
much.
off. I pay people to do that kind of stuff. But I sometimes try. I guess, no.
No. Just no.
I wish I was. I mean, it is so easy, and I think that's why people do it, to not learn stuff. You know what I mean? To not learn how to fix a door hinge or something like that,
Sure.
So, yeah, I want to, and maybe after listening back to this, I will be inspired myself.
That's something. I mean, and I got to say that it's a couple things you said. You did mention maker. And I think that there's a difference. I may be going out on a ledge here. This may get controversial. We may get calls.
Hey, baby, that's better for views, more downloads, more right. Controversy. That's what we need. Headlines.
But I think there's a difference between a DIY and a maker. That being the end goal. So the DIY concept, I think, is a means to an end of something you need. Like you said, I gotta go. I want a new front door, and I'm going to make it myself. I want to...
what are you making it out of?
I need obviously some very expensive sweet looking wood, because that's what people use on YouTube anyhow. That's where I learn my DIY stuff is go to YouTube, and they use wood that's like I can't
mahogany block.
Exactly.
Or I don't even know.
Cherry,
wood
something.
better than I, probably.
Yeah, mahogany's a thing. Ebony is a wood too.
Ivory.
I think that's less wood, more animal matter.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, DIY seems to be a defined project versus a maker who makes something not necessarily to fill an existing gap, but to make something new. We're more the inventors, and I'm going to make something because I don't know if it can be made. I think that's kind of where we
creativity,
break apart.
the kind of tinkerers. They're not necessarily going after to solve a problem or to.
They may be making problems, which happens on occasion. But I think that DIYer, and again, this is where, if you guys want to chime in on this is where we'd love to hear your thoughts. If you head over to www.sketchup.com/DIY talk, that'll take you to our forum, and we can actually hear your thoughts on this. DIYers feel like, to me, those are people who there is an alternative to what they want to do, but they choose to do it themselves. Because like you said, maybe it's financial. I can make this for cheaper than I can buy it. It's independence. I don't want to be beholden to a furniture company. I want to make it myself. And there's just also just a sense of accomplishment with, that is the cabinet that I made. That's a cool thing.
It's my house.
That's right.
Creation, or my contribution to it, or something like
exactly.
that. Yeah.
And I think that's a big thing for a lot of DIYers.
The college experience. Collegiate. Sporting. Becoming an adult. All very important parts of being on campus. And folks, I'm here to tell you about another important part of it, which is learning SketchUp, of course. Today's episode is brought to you in part by, you guessed it, SketchUp Campus. And look, on this show today, we've been talking about doing it yourself. We've been talking about what does it mean, people that do it themselves. Before you can do it yourself in SketchUp, you need to teach yourself SketchUp, of course. Look, doing it yourself, teaching yourself. Go hand in hand. Two hands, making things. Me, I'm a lumberjack. I cut down trees. It's what I do. There's no place better for SketchUp learning than our own SketchUp Campus. Check it out. A lot of good tracks on there. Learn some good stuff. Peace.
This is, I mentioned YouTube earlier. This is a great time to be a DIYer because you can find experts in the field giving information away. I mean, just everywhere. You can go out to the ones that I came off top of my head were House, where you can go see different designs for interior, exterior houses. Pinterest, of course, has. I looked up the stats of how many pictures are on Pinterest, and it's a lot. There's a lot of pictures of just about everything on Pinterest, and you can go there and get ideas for stuff, get instructions for things. And of course, YouTube, one of my personal favorite spots to go, because if I want to do something that I haven't done before, if you use Google, it 90% of the time points you to YouTube. But that's kind of where I just go, because you can experience and learn how to do just about anything. I'm pretty sure I could perform open heart surgery given the right YouTube videos.
Yeah, you don't even need the right tools, just the right videos.
Yeah, I'm sure that somebody out there is
bare hands.
We're going to do it with a spoon and a ladle, and we're just going to get in there and fix that heart right up.
Yeah. I have a question for you regarding the definition of DIY. When it comes to YouTube videos, made me think of like auto repairs. Like in the past, something that goes wrong with your car, you get the little light on there or something. Then you just had to take it into the guys.
Absolutely.
Now it seems like you can, like I have replaced stuff on my car that I would never have done like 10 years ago. Is that DIY? I was doing it myself.
I think so.
Is what you're saying? Oh, cool.
I mean, that is a perfect example, because I consider myself pretty handy. I make a lot of things. I done some furniture and some different stuff. It's fun, but cars are just the one thing that I mean,
grease.
I can put oil in, getting it back out again. I've done it, but I'm not good at it.
Yeah.
But
I know how to pump gas.
Yeah. I can get my way through that usually. But that's one of those spots where I just don't have the experience. I haven't got into it enough to be able to go, oh yeah, I can change that belt or, blinker fluid, put it in here, whatever.
Sure.
That's not a thing that I've been able to do, but it's amazing to me that I can go on YouTube or Instructables or a site like this, and I can actually find somebody with like my same car,
the exact same one,
doing this because they had the exact same problem, and it blows my mind.
Yeah.
That's where we're at. We can actually do that. Mm-hmm. That's so cool.
Yeah, and cars are a good example, but I mean anything really, right? You can look up like the model number and what your problem is, and it'll like somebody's made a video of it.
Fixed washing machines, dryer. Yeah, just about every appliance I have, I've at some point got into it thanks to YouTube.
Yeah, thank you.
I will throw out that it's a double-edged sword, because there's some less than helpful information out there.
I've seen people are doing it themselves, but they're doing it wrong.
Exactly.
Incorrect.
Or they skip over some important steps, like putting it back together. Putting it back together is an important part of a lot of DIY projects. If you're going to get into something that exists, take it apart, fix it. You do have to put it back together. Mm-hmm. And sometimes those steps are missing.
People who make videos are like, I'm kind of tired of making this video.
Watch it backwards.
People will figure out how to scrub backwards.
Yeah, so that gets extra, that's amplified when you talk about trying to make something from scratch, and bad instruction just can ruin everything. So I mean, so say you're going to go build something from a set of plans, and you go out, you buy the wood, and you're halfway through it, and the plans just don't work, or information's missing, and step 1, 2, 3, 18. That's going to be a problem.
Right, you're missing some steps in there.
That's right.
Right around 15, 14 or so, it seems to me.
And that's why it's kind of cool. One of the people we'll be talking to in just a little bit are Jen and Anna from Spruced, and they actually are emboldening DIY makers both to get high quality plans, but also if you have your own plans as a way to sell them. So it's a pretty cool thing that, somebody can actually take that DIY concept and hopefully kind of form it up and make it give a dependable source for those kinds of plans. Really cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because it's such a broad thing, right? There's so many,
right.
And to have like a curated list of, dependable, like you said, dependable, or something you can rely on and know that you're, getting the good stuff.
Exactly. I mean, some people don't mind digging in and researching and trying to find out about things, but that's not necessarily for everybody. Mm-hmm. I know there's certain things that, like the car thing, I have to do it because I don't have a better way to do it. But there's been some stuff where I'm just trying to learn about something, it's too hard, and I'll try something else. I've given up.
Right.
That has happened before.
It's okay to admit, man. I have never given up.
That's good.
I see everything through to the end.
Or don't try at all.
Or never start in the first place. Exactly.
Can't fail if you don't start. Right. So obviously, this concept of DIY runs pretty deep in SketchUp's veins. Emboldening people or giving people the opportunity to do their own designs is kind of what SketchUp's all about. Keeping SketchUp simple, easy to design, giving design tools, giving the 3D warehouse where you can bring pieces in. That's a big part of what SketchUp does. Mm-hmm. One of the first videos I remember that kind of works into this, and you took a look at it again today.
Yeah.
It's an older video from SketchUp. I'm trying to...
2008, I think, was the posting date. Yeah.
So it's over 10 years ago, and it's Aiden Chopra. Mm-hmm. He was a
friend of the podcast.
That's right. He's been a guest on here. We really had a great time with him. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll link to his podcast down below. But it was him kind of just going through the idea of, I need something. And in his case, it was, I need a coffee table and I need storage for all my DVDs. Mm-hmm. I don't know if everybody here remembers DVDs, but there was a physical medium that movies used to come on.
Little circles.
That's right.
Pretty flat.
That's
had stuff on them. Shiny.
podcasts are timeless. People could be listening to this in the year 2032 when all movies can just get plucked out of the air and watched randomly. So, but he had 150 DVDs and he wanted a coffee table. And it's not a full comprehensive design video by any means, but it shows the steps of, well, I want it to be like this, and how am I gonna move it around? Maybe I'll add casters, and it talked about that, and he ended up in the end that, it existed, so it was physically built at some point from this just idea and this concept, and I thought that was so cool because I think it really embodied what SketchUp kind of does for a DIYer, is that you can actually do that design work before you actually build anything, which is super cool.
Let's insert that video right now. We can edit it right in. Put it in. Want to do that?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Hi, I'm Aiden. I work at Google, and I have a DVD storage problem. SketchUp is free 3D modeling software from Google that anyone can use. All right, just how big is a DVD case? There, that looks about right. Now, how many of these things do I have? I'm gonna guess about 150. So I'll make a row of 50, then I'll make 2 more copies of that row. Now I need a box to contain these. I'll make the walls about this thick. Now, how high does this thing need to be? Just about to there. I'll lift this up to the height I just measured and drop the bottom all the way down to the ground. That's gonna be really heavy. How am I gonna move it around? Wheels! Let's put 4 of these on. And who knows, maybe I'll add a glass top. Now all I have to do is build it. I wonder what I should make tomorrow.
Wow, that was a great video.
I have to say, and the editing of the person that put it in the podcast, very
awesome.
good as well.
Yes, that was almost better than the video.
Well, almost.
Almost.
Not quite.
So we did SketchUp not too long ago, was lucky enough to go and present at WorkbenchCon.
What is that about?
Yeah. This is so from WorkbenchCon's own website.
Oh,
It
handy.
is a growing network of DIYers, makers, influencers, and bloggers discovering new techniques, products, and skills, all while learning how to take their businesses to the next level. So it was a really cool group. I kind of read that tongue in cheek, but it was a lot of fun to go to. And there was, most of these guys have their own social media channels, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and they basically learn and share these trades with people. A lot of them are woodworkers, but there's some people who are on fringes too. And this is actually where we met Spruced. So they had a booth there, and they were showing, we met them because walking through the general kind of, here's all of our sponsors and exhibitors, they had a booth which was showing SketchUp.
Yeah.
So we didn't even actually go as a booth. We went and taught a couple classes. Tyson and myself taught a class each, but they were actually showing SketchUp, and we went and talked about that. And I won't ruin the story. We'll let them talk about what they do, but it was cool. But it was also cool to just see all these other people who were using, just their own talents and capabilities and going out and showing the rest of the world how to do it. It was a melting pot of DIYers. It was very fun.
Yeah.
It was a cool thing to go to. So I don't know if that's anything anybody has interest into, but we'll link to WorkbenchCon down at the bottom. Their show for this year's over, but it is an annual event, so maybe in the future you could actually attend one of those. Very cool. All right, well, we've talked about talking to them enough, so we might as well actually just talk to them. So we're going to hop on the phone right now with Jen and Anna from Spruced. All right, for this next section, we are going to chat with Jen Woodhouse and Anna White from Spruced. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Yeah, we're glad to
Absolutely.
be here.
Yeah, it's great to talk to you guys. Well, just a brief history. We met you guys at WorkbenchCon this year. Was that your first time going to WorkbenchCon?
Yeah, so that was my first time going to Workbench Con. It's a fairly new conference, so um, yeah, we weren't able to make it last year, and we're just super happy to be able to be there this year in person.
That was a very, in my opinion, a very unique conference because it was primarily people who were trying to mix social media, woodwork, that sort of thing. Was that a good mix for you guys? Did you get a lot of people who are interested in what you're doing there?
Yeah, so Jen and I had a booth at Workbench Con for our business that we're doing together, Spruced, and we we were so busy the entire conference. I don't know if we even ate. Yes, Jen?
Yeah, it was back to back. It was great. It was a great audience. I think a lot of those guys are makers and woodworkers, and maybe they are or they aren't familiar with SketchUp and drawing plans. So with Spruce, we want more people to do that. And so I think that it was a really great audience for us and a really great conference for us to be present at. And we did get a lot out of it.
And that was what we kind of walked through the hall. They have a small exhibitor hall, which is where the food and kind of the main gathering place for anybody who didn't get to go. And the thing that caught our eye was we walked by your booth, which was very nicely done, by the way. It was definitely, a lot of the guys were selling hardware, and they basically set up a table and a poster and put their stuff out. You guys had a very nice design, lights and everything, but which was good.
Yeah,
that was good also.
Board on that one, but you know what? We believe in what we're doing, and when we go to a conference, we wanted to show, we're behind this 100%. We're willing to build this really extravagant booth with a baby because this is the face of our company, and we're very serious about it.
That's great. And we talked a little bit about, kind of gave our listeners a little bit of a heads up about what Spruced is, but can you guys tell us, you're obviously the best people to tell us exactly what Spruced is, and just kind of give us a little bit of idea of why you're doing it. Why, or maybe let's go further back. How Jen and Anna, how do you guys know each other?
Oh gosh, you want to take this, Anna?
Sure. So, yeah. So, step back about 15 years ago, and I was just a stay-at-home mom, and we had built a new house, and we didn't have any furniture, and we had no extra money. And so I started building furniture to furnish our house using scrap wood that was left over from the house build. Most of it was like 2x4s and plywood and whatever. And eventually it got to the point where I started building to sell it to customers and businesses. And then it got to the point where I couldn't keep up, and I felt really overwhelmed, and there was no joy in, making 5 of the same bookshelf for me. So one of my friends had this thing called a blog back then. I wasn't really sure what it was. And I was like, yeah.
I remember those.
Yeah, right. Well, this was on the other side of that, when we still weren't really sure what a blog was and what they do. And so I just said, you know what? I can't find any plans for the style of furniture that I like and the simplicity in design. So you don't need a million tools, and you don't need to be you don't need to have like generations of experience. You can still build something that's pretty nice for your home and that will fill a need using, just a handful of standard household tools and off-the-shelf lumber. So I started blogging the plans and on the internet. And then Jen, I met her because she wanted to start building her own furniture because she wanted to, she couldn't get the look that she wanted, and she wanted her furniture to be, safer for her family. So we started collaborating at that point, I would draw plans for her and she would build it. And then it got to the point where it's like, okay, Jen, I need to teach you how to do SketchUp because you're really talented and you could probably come up with much better designs than I'm giving you. And so at that point, I gave Jen a SketchUp lesson, and then, we both continued to do what we did for another 5 years. Yeah, Jen?
I think so. Yeah, it's been almost a decade now.
Yeah, I know, right? But and both of us have been kind of drawing plans for it's been quite a while. But at a certain point, Jen contacted me and she said, Anna, why aren't you selling some of your plans? And I was like, what? People sell plans? And she said, yeah, especially some of your more complicated plans, some that maybe might not reach the masses. For example, I did a tiny house, and it did really well on YouTube, and people kept asking me, can I have plans for that? And I kept thinking, you know what? I'm going to spend 2 weeks drawing out this plan, and it might benefit like 1,000 people, right? So is it worth my time where I could spend 2 hours drawing a coffee table and it might benefit 10,000 people? So I just didn't really feel like it was a good use of my time to put into drawing that tiny house. But when Jen mentioned, hey, you could sell that plan, and I felt like, yeah,
Right.
okay, now this is making sense. I could never get back through advertising revenue my time investment into that tiny house plan. But if I sold it, I could, probably make it worth my time. And so that's when I got on board with Jen and was like, yeah, we need to make premium plans.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And at that point, I'd been selling my own plans, like the ones that were more complicated, for about a year. And I kind of just was very surprised to see that people were willing to buy them, to pay for these premium quality plans. And so, I didn't get any pushback at all. And I kind of showed a screenshot to Anna of my income. And she was like, oh my gosh, what? You're making this in a kind of passive income where you write the plan once and then it's one and done. And then you just continue to earn this like passive income. And so it really helped supplement, the revenue in addition to all the other streams. So I think with our thinking with Spruced is a lot of these makers and furniture makers are making the furniture, they can, make as much money as however many tables that they can turn out, So by selling their plans in addition to, then that helps supplement their income, and when they're not having to do any extra work.
Yeah. So, I really look at it as, it's like putting something in the bank, right? So coming from a background as somebody that would build furniture and sell it, once you made that sale, that's all the money you would get out of it. And that's why I turned to blogging, is I knew I had to convert my time into more than just that one sale. And over the past 10 years, advertising has done pretty decently for us, but you have to get a lot of page views to make that happen. And you have to maintain a blog, and you have to maintain a social following, and you can't just focus on your woodworking. So Jen and I brainstormed, and we thought, if we can get makers who don't necessarily want to blog, maybe just have an Instagram account, to take their unique pieces and then convert that into a plan that they can sell. And we had a common platform where any maker that has been vetted, that is of quality, can come together and sell our plans side by side. Maybe the dream someday will be, you can go to this website and click on dining table, and 200 dining table plans pop up, and you pick one, and they're all well done, and they're premium, and they've been built before, and then you take that plan and you build it, and you don't have to worry about, one of the other issues we see is some of these makers may live across the country. So you might love a project from somebody that lives in Florida, but the cost of shipping it would be very prohibitive. So it enables a maker to, reach such a broader audience with their design and make it accessible to, all different budget levels and skill levels. So that's why we created Spruced.
Well, and I think that's one of the parts that I really think is great, because I think there are people out there who are woodworkers who have a YouTube channel, Instagram, whatever, and they make and sell furniture. And that's great. That's awesome. There's also people out there who have their own Etsy shop with their plans or whatever, but you guys actually enable people who maybe don't have that reach, time, energy, experience, but know how to make a plan that can go together, and you help them to sell that thing.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know this because I do it on a day-to-day basis. And I would say 70% of my time is spent on the computer and 30% is spent woodworking. So if you are in the business of trying to build and sell, you can't profit that way because you don't have enough time to build and sell furniture. You're spending it all maintaining your Etsy shop or your blog or your YouTube channel or whatever it may be. So with Spruced, you can, we highly recommend just keeping an Instagram account and then selling your plans. We have one vendor. She has no blog. She has no Etsy store. She just has an Instagram account where she takes photos of her home. That is it. And one plan is doing a few $100s a month. Just one plan. Just by taking a
Wow.
picture of that plan, and I helped her create the plan and putting it out there. So I mean that's a car payment, or these days a cell phone payment. Right?
That's awesome.
So I think that is the beauty of it. Let's take the technical side out of it. Let's lessen the workload. Let's put more time into building the projects and less time into, keeping up with SEO or, figuring out what the newest Google algorithm is. You don't want to be doing that. You want to be in your shop making things.
Yeah, I call that's marketing stuff is the technical term for
the sad
all
thing
of
is
that.
it's always changing. So the second you stop paying attention to it, you are left behind. And there are thousands of woodworkers out there, or craftspeople. It doesn't even have to be a woodworker. And if they did not have to focus on Google's next algorithm change or the next social media platform, and they could just focus on their work and they could put a plan away as money in the bank, how much better off would they be?
That's awesome. I love that idea because I would imagine it started off with your plans, Jen and Anna plans, and that was what was there. How did you do that initial outreach to get other makers to supply you with what they were creating?
I know that just from what we do, the community is pretty tight knit. And I know that Anna and I both reached out to several people, several furniture makers, and even people who did have blogs and who were writing plans to say, hey, I think you should really sell this because it's worth money and it's not, you shouldn't be giving this stuff away, or, and so we initially reached out to a few, I guess, premier plan makers. And then we also reached out to people who were actually making things like the vendor that Anna was talking about, where she has no idea how to write plans, but she did, know how to build and take really great pictures. And so Anna and I both have been kind of helping where we would write the plan for them so that they can post it on Spruced and they can start making that kind of money. And I think too, it's, I think our next, phase would be, and that was part of the whole presence at Workbench, was we were giving crash courses in how to use SketchUp, and so how to get started in writing your own plans, so that now we're kind of, helping these people along to write their own plans, post them on Spruced, and start making that passive income.
That's great. And I have to ask because it's in the name of the show, but how did SketchUp get involved? Like, at what point did you guys decide that was the platform that was honestly, like I said, you guys had a beautiful booth, but the thing that caught our attention as we were walking around is, hey, look, SketchUp is on their laptops. But what was it, or at what point did you guys decide that SketchUp was the way to do that, for the plan makers to model and to convey those final plans?
So when I started blogging about 10 years ago, my very first plans I drew out on paper and took pictures of them. I'm trying to think of how this worked because this is before I had an iPhone. So I think I took pictures with my regular camera and then downloaded those into my computer and then photoshopped them and then uploaded them, the different steps, right? And I did that for like the first handful of plans. And I had so many questions like, okay, well, I don't understand how this board went to this board, or what this dimension was actually, because you can't, as good as you can draw, it's impossible without good drafting tools to be really precise. And the 3D element is very difficult as well. So I was like, okay, I've got to step it up. If I want people to build what I'm building, I have to be able to translate what I'm doing accurately and without a lot of back and forth and emailing. It has to be very clear. So I went and just started trying different 3D modeling programs. And when I landed on SketchUp and I was able to pick it up in 5 minutes and I was able to draw a bookshelf in literally 5 minutes, I was like, I'm done. I'm a woodworker. I'm not a person that wants to, be a CAD geek. I just want to be able to take my ideas and build that project and then be able to share how I did that with other people. And I felt like SketchUp was that perfect medium for me to translate my ideas to the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think too, I mean, it's not like we're not saying that all of the vendors on Spruced have to use SketchUp. It's just obviously something that we're most familiar with, because there are some vendors that are good at CAD and AutoCAD and all that stuff. But for us, SketchUp is the most, I guess, intuitive, and the free version is really nice to get started on and kind of learn how to do the most basic things. So,
and I love it because, most of my projects, I really love that simplicity of it, but I've done tiny houses and sometimes I do whole room designs, and I'll use layout for kind of the bigger projects. So as simple as it is, it also can give you all the features of a full-blown CAD program that you need. So it is everything that I could ask for. It enables me to do what I want to do and not spend all of my time trying to understand or keep up with a complicated CAD program. And the thing that I really love about it is I can teach someone how to use SketchUp in literally 10 minutes. And we did that over and over and over again at our Spruce booth.
That's awesome. So is that something you guys do? I know you're doing that on site. Is that something you do regularly? I mean, if somebody comes in, they go, I have idea for plans, I don't know how to present them. You mentioned sometimes you'll help them by putting together the model, putting together the plans. If I'm a designer and I have, like you were talking about, Anna, some hand-drawn, here's an awesome desk, it's all hand-drawn and in my head, like how do you help me get to the point where there's consumable plans available on Spruced?
Yeah, so I often will draw a plan for somebody, but I would prefer to teach them SketchUp because it's the whole teach them to fish thought process. And so I have from my home just done screen shares and conference calls and, just tried to walk people through and get them familiar with SketchUp, because anybody that is building is going to continue to build, right? So learning SketchUp is like just long-term knowledge that you really can't afford not to have as a maker. So I prefer not to draw plans for people. I prefer instead to give them that power themselves. Sorry, I don't know where the original question was.
No, that's great. I was asking if that was the kind of thing you would do for somebody. I love hearing about more people using SketchUp. That's great.
Yeah, I think at this point too, in our business, we launched last year, and right now Anna and I are at a point where we are able to do that for some people. But obviously, once we get really going, I don't think that's going to be a sustainable practice. But we are working on tutorial videos, so we can hopefully publish that information and then just kind of push people to that eventually.
Great. That's great to hear. So, I mean, in kind of trying to summarize, I've learned a lot about Spruced. It is a place where I could go both if I was looking for a plan that I wanted to build myself, or if I have my own plans, I'm looking for a way to sell them. I mean, it's kind of either person on either end of that could benefit from Spruced.
Yes, absolutely. So right now we are so we're looking at Spruced. We launched last year as we're looking at it in phases. And right now we are in phase 1 where we're doing whatever we can to support vendors. So if you need help drawing a plan, we'll try to help you to the best of our ability. If you need to learn SketchUp, we'll try to the best of our ability to teach you that, to just help get plans put up. We have a plan creator where once you have your 3D model and then you break it down into your 2D steps, you can just use the plan creator to go through and input your diagrams and your cut list, and then it spits out a PDF of your plan. So that can help save time as well, and just whatever we can do to help vendors start monetizing their work. And then when we feel like, don't say when we feel like it. When we're at a point where there is enough volume of plans, we are going to step up our marketing of Spruced and really try to help those vendors get their plans in front of as many customers as possible, and help as many customers as possible have more variety of premium plans.
That's great. I mean, that was actually my final question was, what's next for Spruced? But you got ahead of me. You took care of it for me.
Yeah, right now we've got over 70 vendors. And each vendor has anywhere from 2 to 6 plans on the site. So we're right now just kind of building that up before we push to the general public for people who want to actually buy the plans. But yeah, like Anna had mentioned, that plan creator is directly on the site. So once you're approved as a vendor, and we do approve everybody manually because we want to make sure that these plans are sound and premium, and we'll set people up for success. Once you're approved as a vendor, you can access that plan creator and then and create the plan through the site itself.
That's awesome, because I think it seems like that curation step is one of the things that would set Spruced apart from just a repository of PDFs sitting somewhere.
Sure. And there's also a review system as well. So customers who buy the plans can actually review and say, oh, this was a great plan. It worked for me. And also you can see how many purchases are made of a plan. So a lot of times, I know for me, just having the confidence to buy something online, I want to make sure that I'm buying a good product. So all that stuff is on the site, and yeah, we're excited.
That is awesome. Well, Jen and Anna, thank you guys so much for taking the time to speak to us. We are really excited. We'll be linking, of course, to Spruced.com in this podcast as we post about it. So hopefully that helps out with getting you guys from phase 1 to phase 2. But anything else you guys want to throw out before we wrap up?
I want to say thank you to SketchUp for creating such an amazing platform, and then making it available for free if you want to try it. And we just really appreciate you guys, and appreciate the simplicity of the program. I'm always very thankful for it.
Well, on behalf of SketchUp, you are so welcome. And thank you for doing something like this with it. It's exciting for us to see. I always say that, SketchUp is kind of a basic tool. You can do whatever you want to. And it's really cool. And for me personally, when I see it used in a way that I wouldn't have thought of, yes, people create plans with it, but the idea of creating what you guys have created with it is just so cool. So hopefully our listeners will go take a look at Spruced.com. And I don't know, it's not Spruced, it's
Sprucedmarket.com.
Sprucedmarket.com. Well, hopefully you're looking at the link and not listening to what I say. That's probably the important part. Just click below. All right. Well, thank you both very much for your time, and hopefully we'll speak again.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Hi, it's Matt. Today's episode is brought to you in part by Spruced. Created by today's guests, Anna White and Jen Woodhouse, Spruced is the first and only global marketplace for premium project plans. Spruced is a platform that connects creative designers with thoughtful consumers. It's a meaningful space where designers can turn their project plans into opportunity, and discerning customers can discover only the best, most reliable plans that will set them up for success. Spruced, SPRUC''D. Take a look.
All right. One of the things we'd like to take a look at here is something we call our community spotlight, where we check out somebody doing something in the realm that we're talking about, in this case DIY. And I came across a video that it was awesome. It's from the name of the guy who put it out is KB Videography.
Okay.
Doesn't have a whole lot of videos, doesn't have a whole lot of subscribers. But what he did was, and like I said, we'll link to it. We can't edit it in because it's not our video, but we'll link to it down below. And you guys got to just check out this video. I know we're an audio medium where I'm explaining what a video looks like. But the cool thing about this is he built his own playground. So for kids and that kind of thing.
Oh.
But it is severely DIY in that the first couple of shots of the video are him milling down trees into boards.
Hey, so playgrounds don't grow on trees. He's like, I'm proving you wrong.
Yeah, they do. Check it. But he does that. They show the milling process happen, and then it goes into a SketchUp model where he actually shows the stages of construction along with the model being built.
Oh, that's cool.
Really, and it's cool. It's well done. It's good videography. Really cool, but it's cool to be able to see people who, like I said, this is not a big name. He doesn't have 20,000 followers or anything like that. Just a guy who put this out, his project, and awesome job. So we want to give a props to him. Go check him out, and check out his video because it is really cool. It's really impressive to see. And just the thing I like is, like I said, it's put together well, but the process of like literally from bare ground.
Raw materials.
Just nothing. So very, very cool. And it ends up being just a real nice looking, fun playground.
Sweet.
So,
Love to play on it someday.
Absolutely. Possibly. We'll see. Well, that pretty much rounds up our show on DIY. If you guys have thoughts, concerns, comments, compliments, we'll take them all. www.sketchup.com/DIY talk. And you get to let us know what you think about DIY. Tell us about your own project. How do you use SketchUp? How do you DIY? Let's hear what you got going on.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you.
This has been a Trimble Media production. You've been listening to SketchUp Talk, the show for folks who just can't get enough SketchUp. If you like what you hear, head on over to iTunes and leave us a review. If you have an idea for an episode or know someone who'd make a great guest, drop us a line at podcast@sketchup.com. And if you'd like to learn more about SketchUp or take it for a test drive, visit sketchup.com.